Part 2. The Web Titans Summary. On the run and hunted from every angle, Marcus races to uncover who orchestrated the conspiracy against him. Every clue reveals another lie, every ally becomes another suspect, and every step toward the truth pulls him deeper into a deadly web of deception where no one. Part 2. The Web Titans Can Be Trusted. The cold, hard floor of the abandoned warehouse bit into Marcus's cheek, a stark contrast to the plush carpets of the art gallery. He lay there, disoriented, the metallic tang of blood in his mouth, the echo of sirens fading into the distance. Big Mike's guttural roar, the sharp crack of the taser, it all replayed in his mind like a broken record. He had escaped, barely, a blur of motion through a service exit, leaving Big Mike to face the onslaught. The guilt was a bitter pill, but survival was a primal instinct, one that screamed louder than any loyalty. He pushed himself up, every muscle protesting, his head throbbing. The city lights, usually a comforting blanket, now felt like accusing eyes. He was on the run, a ghost in his own kingdom, and the realization was a venomous bite. Who had set him up? The question clawed at his mind, a relentless tormentor. Slick Rick? The twitchy informant had always been unreliable, but this felt different, too orchestrated for his petty machinations. This was a grand design, a betrayal woven with threads of malice and precision. His first instinct was to find Maya, to seek solace in her unwavering love, but he knew that would put her in danger. He was a contagion, and anyone close to him would be infected. He needed answers, and he needed them fast. His mind, usually a fortress of strategic thought, was a chaotic storm of suspicion. Every face he'd ever trusted now seemed to wear a mask of deceit. He found refuge in a forgotten corner of the city, a derelict apartment building where the shadows were deep and the memories even deeper. He pulled out his burner phone, a relic from a past he thought he'd outgrown, and made the call. Not to Maya, not to Pastor Thomas, but to the one person who might have answers, the one who always knew the whispers of the street. Chloe. Her voice, when she finally answered, was cool, detached, like a silk blade. King, I heard you had a rough night. Rough doesn't begin to cover it, Chloe. I need to know who played me. A pause, pregnant with unspoken knowledge. The streets are saying it was an inside job. A big one. Someone wanted you out of the picture permanently. Who? He pressed, his voice raw with urgency. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? But there's a name floating around. A name you wouldn't expect. Before she could elaborate, the line went dead. He cursed, slamming the phone against the grimy wall. The name. She had almost given him the name. He knew Chloe played all sides, but she had always had a grudging respect for him. This was different. This was a warning. Meanwhile, Elijah Prophet Stone moved with a chilling calm, his face a mask of concern as he spoke to Maya. He'll be back, Maya. Marcus is a survivor. He's a king. His words were honeyed, laced with false comfort, but his eyes, when Maya wasn't looking, held a predatory gleam. He was orchestrating his masterpiece, a symphony of betrayal, and Marcus was the unwitting lead actor. Elijah had been cultivating this moment for years. He remembered a time, a lifetime ago, when he and Marcus were just boys, scrambling for scraps in the same unforgiving neighborhood. Marcus, even then, had possessed an undeniable aura, a natural magnetism that drew people to him. Elijah, always in his shadow, had seethed with a silent resentment. He was smarter, more calculating, yet Marcus was the one crowned king. The flashback hit him with a jolt. A sweltering summer day, they were playing basketball, Marcus effortlessly sinking a three-pointer, the crowd cheering his name. Elijah, despite his own impressive skills, was just Marcus's friend. The seed of envy had been planted then, watered by every success Marcus achieved, every accolade he received. He had always been 5 steps behind Marcus, and he hated it. This setup was his chance to finally be 5 steps ahead. Officer Miller, a man whose uniform was as stained as his soul, met Elijah in a dimly lit bar, the clinking of glasses a counterpoint to their hushed conversation. Jenkins is sniffing around. She's good. Too good. Elijah merely smiled. A cold, humorless expression. Let her sniff. The trail leads exactly where we want it to. Marcus is a dead man walking one way or another. Miller nodded, taking a long swig of his beer. He was a pawn, a necessary evil in Elijah's grand scheme, easily bought, easily manipulated. Marcus, driven by a desperate need for answers, decided to take a risk. He knew Slick Rick had been involved, even if he wasn't the mastermind. He tracked him to a dingy motel on the outskirts of town, a place where secrets festered like open wounds. He kicked in the door, finding Slick Rick huddled in a corner, trembling, a bag of drugs clutched in his hand. "Who set me up, Rick?" Marcus roared, grabbing him by the collar. Slick Rick stammered, his eyes wide with terror. I don't know, King. They just told me what to do. They said you'd be safe." "Who are they?" "Elijah, and the cop Miller." Slick Rick choked out, tears streaming down his face. They said you were getting too big, too powerful." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Elijah, his brother, his confidant, his prophet. The betrayal was a searing brand on his soul. He remembered Elijah's words, his false comfort to Maya, his seemingly unwavering loyalty. It was all a lie, a meticulously crafted, soul-crushing lie. He released Slick Rick, the informant collapsing in a heap. The anger, the jealousy, the hate, the envy, the pride, it all coalesced into a burning inferno within him. He had been so blind, so consumed by his own image, his own perceived kingship, that he hadn't seen the serpent in his own garden. He had been so focused on being 5 steps ahead, he hadn't realized he was 5 steps behind. He needed to confront Elijah, to tear down the facade, to expose the truth. He stormed out of the motel, his mind a whirlwind of rage and a newfound clarity. He knew where Elijah would be, at his opulent penthouse, celebrating his perceived victory. Marcus would make him pay. He would make him regret the day he ever thought he could outsmart a king. As he walked, his path illuminated by the flickering neon signs of the city, a black sedan pulled up beside him, silent as a predator. The window rolled down, revealing Chloe, her expression unreadable. "I told you there was a name, King. I also told you to be careful." Before Marcus could respond, the back door of the sedan opened, and a figure emerged. Not Elijah, but Big Mike, his face a mask of grim determination. He held a silenced pistol, its barrel glinting ominously in the dim light. "I'm sorry, King," Big Mike said, his voice devoid of emotion. "Orders are orders." Marcus's eyes widened in disbelief. Big Mike? The one man he thought he could always count on? The betrayal was a bottomless pit, swallowing him whole. He tried to move, to fight, but it was too late. Big Mike raised the pistol, and the world dissolved into a deafening silence, followed by a blinding flash of pain. Marcus fell, the city lights blurring into a kaleidoscope of despair, the name Elijah echoing in his mind as darkness claimed him. He had uncovered the truth, but at what cost? And was this the end, or just the beginning of his unraveling? End of part 2.